welcome back to Death Wish once again, the remake from 2018. So far, we see a guy who's shot being taken to the hospital. And we are in Chicago, Illinois this time instead of New York City. And we have made it to the hospital and goes to get Dr. Paul Kersey, played by Bruce Willis. So instead of the architect job, Paul Kersey from the original, you got a surgeon now. How nice. And now he goes to check on the wounded cop and he's dead now. Now at the Kersey home, as Paul Kersey fixes a new watch next to his wife Lucy, played by Elizabeth Shue, here comes their daughter, who got into a school of her choice, Jordan Kersey, played by Camilla Morone. And she starts screaming again. The funny thing is, the school is in New York City, where the original Death Wish took place in from 1974. And now at Jordan's soccer game, and now this guy is screaming.
Now you're quiet, huh? Come on,
Okay.
stop. Come on, stop it. Hey, stop.
Oh well. Next scene at the restaurant, we now meet Paul Kersey's brother, Frank Kersey, played by Vincent D'Onofrio, talking about the goofball from earlier. And Jordan now shows off her moves on Frank, and Lucy's now a doctor too. Well, PhD doctor. And back outside, as Frank needs $2,000 now for a crime he committed, and this Miguel Javier, the valet guy, hears the Kerseys are inviting Frank to La Fonda, the restaurant, and MJ's got a plan. Now he goes into his own car to type up the address to the Kersey house, and this is the night they go to La Fonda. And now Paul gets an emergency call from the hospital, and to tell Frank the dinner is cancelled. So it's Paul Kersey's birthday, and his colleague here, Dr. Chris, played by Mike Epps, gets him a present.
First baseline. You don't give me
You better be
anything.
taking me to that game.
Back at the Kersey home, as the two have made it home to bake their own birthday cake for Paul Kersey, and his van is there watching. And Lucy asks Jordan to get her iPad, and she goes, and someone is already waiting at the door. Meanwhile, Lucy sees that someone turned the page from the cookbook, and she sees the windows open, and someone is there with a mask, and she sees muddy footprints. And the other guy's upstairs, and Lucy's calling for Jordan, and the guy here just wants Lucy to open the safe upstairs. And this guy's watching Jordan and sees her trophy, and he starts getting excited, and now the safe is open. And the other guy's back to tie her up, and she grabs a knife and slices his face. And Paul Kersey's focused on surgery. The intercom is addressing the emergency for Dr. Paul Kersey. After hearing those descriptions, he knows it's Lucy and Jordan, and he runs there and sees it's Lucy who's dead. Now Paul and Frank are there as Paul describes what was stolen from his safe to these two detectives, as Detective Raines here, played by Dean Norris, tells the robbery story. Well, his own robbery story, detective. And Detective Jackson here, played by Kimberly Elise, mentioned that this kind of behavior has happened 9 times already. And Frank getting all loud here, and the detectives have to go and Jordan is out of surgery. And days go by as Paul has to take Lucy to his in-laws, and now at the funeral, as Ben here, Lucy's dad, played by Lynn Carreyrou, is talking. The funeral's over, and Ben is driving Paul home, and he asks about any updates on the police, and now flat tire. And Ben sees poachers and starts shooting. Now Paul is downtown on his Bluetooth phone talking to Detective Raines and sees someone is washing his windshield.
That's enough. Go on.
Yeah, run him over. Doesn't count as a crime.
I can do that.
Look,
And he's at the hospital and sees Jordan's friend Sophie reading to her and tells her to stay to watch her. And next scene is at therapist's office, talking about his inability to sleep and work. And now just some shots as therapy appointments and time go by. But getting his last name spelled wrong as he gives a message to Detective Raines. And after all that thinking, he goes to the local police station to find Detective Raines. I guess he didn't like the healthy choice. But Raines sees Paul and buzzes him inside the detective office. And this scene is very similar to the original Death Wish you've seen that. Now inside the office, Paul Kersey takes a look at all the unsolved cases on the wall. And Raines tells him Lucy's case is different, and Paul is wondering what can the police really do to catch the guys. So Paul is walking down from the train and sees someone in danger, and you can tell this movie is very modern, and Paul gets beaten up.
What is your problem?
Paul Kersey.
Who the fuck you think you are?
I mean, this ain't the 70s, man. And he's back home to look at an ad for guns at Jolly Rogers. And he does go there and sees a girl from the ad, Bethany, to help him out. Somebody will come back to fill in the paperwork soon. He's back at work, and it's a guy that's shot, and the gun falls out of the leg, and Paul takes it for himself. And he practice fires it inside here and watches a YouTube video to know how to take care of a gun. Yep, a very modern remake with the AC/DC song playing. And now he's back at work to check on Jordan. Frank is back too. And Paul is getting all fired up now for revenge as he prepares for the first night to find those guys. And he sees a Cadillac getting hijacked and shoots the driver. And with the whole remake where social media is heavily involved, someone is recording inside there. And the one guy still lives since he fires back at Paul Kersey. Tells the girl to get out of here and driver's now dead. He throws his hoodie away since we are in the 2010s now where street cameras are everywhere, and just like Charles Bronson, he makes his way to the subway. And back at home as he has flashbacks and finally falls asleep. Same night, the girl who escaped is now answering questions, and even the girl who recorded Paul Kersey is also answering questions to Detective Rains and shows it to the video on her phone.
Video confidential, okay? No posting on social media and all that stuff you guys do.
I uploaded that shit hours ago.
Of course, she already posted the video and they leave. And Paul is awake the next morning watching the video of him shooting the criminals. And he's driving to work and hears a radio show, and this is when podcasting started to become more mainstream up until now in 2026. And these cops who walk in the hospital made Paul hide his wounded hand quickly. Now checks on a kid named Tyler who got shot and talks about basketball. And Tyler says the ice cream man shot him, and Paul, looking at Tyler's address, he's got a plan on his mind. And he will help Tyler out by getting to the ice cream man with this Chief Keef song playing. Yeah, I remember the song coming out the very first times. So Paul's made it to the neighborhood to see the ice cream man himself, played by Mo Joydy Lamour, and Paul Kersey has done it again. And everyone here just steals all the drug packets inside the ice cream stand, wow. And the cops are here with Rains and Jackson back to who this hoodie guy is. So Rains sees these kids reenacting killing the ice cream man as Jackson takes out the video from the other night. And back to reality as Paul Kersey's at home watching the news and even podcasts calling Paul Kersey as a Grim Reaper. Whereas in the original, he was known as a vigilante. Even a rough sketch of Paul Kersey that no one can identify easily is back at the station, still figuring out who this Grim Reaper could be. And this guy does look as crazy as the guy from the soccer game, this lieutenant over here. And Paul's back at the therapist, updater, he's doing much better. Meanwhile, back at the hospital, he sees the same valet guy from before, Miguel Javier. And this time he's beaten up and shot, and Paul sees his watch on his wrist.
Continue bagging. Charge again to 300.
And Paul goes to the ambulance. Miguel Javier was brought in too. Finds his phone and gets his thumbprint, and he takes back his watch. And the nurse comes to see if Paul is there, but chooses not to answer since he's looking at the camera roll, and sees his address screenshot, and remembers the La Fonda deadline too, and goes further into the camera roll and sees a liquor store picture, or pictures. The idea of calling up Detective Rains is going to be bad since it's going to be useless. Frank is back wanting to buy Paul food and pays him back the $2,000 he gave him, and even sees a wound on his left hand. And he's back in the hospital laundry room to take a hoodie for the next hit. A very similar scene to Death Wish 2 if you've seen that movie from 1982. And Paul has made it to the very liquor store he found on Miguel's phone. And Paul has made it to the back as he asks this guy that Miguel Javier sent him. And the only customer's got to go and sees the patient tag who the hoodie belongs to on Paul. And the ponytail guy is texting Fish that the doctor is here and whose house they robbed the stuff from.
Drop it.
So yeah, the ponytail guy knows, since he knows the guy who did shoot Lucy. And he takes him to the back where Paul Kersey can get his stuff. And here comes Fish himself, one of the guys that did rob the Kersey house, and shoots the ponytail guy by accident. Someone named Fish is calling, who is right in front of us. And Fish slips on the blood puddle. And Paul manages to get his leg shot and steps on his leg like Harry Callahan from Dirty Harry to make him talk. And the guy says that a Joe Gannon caused all this and he shot Lucy. And this happens. Beautiful. And Paul runs and drops his ring. And he's back on YouTube to drill inside the metal box, but gives up and now takes the trash out. And back with the more news and podcast updates with the Grim Reaper. And back at the hospital, Jackson Rains back to see Paul Kersey as he hides his bag under the desk. And the two show Paul the picture of Fish, the guy that was mentioned earlier, and yeah, the same guy Paul Kersey shot. And they show Paul's ring that he dropped, and that's it, and goes ahead to smash the cell phones belonging to Fish and the ponytail guy. And Paul does go to the very garage now to find Joe Gannon, like Fish mentioned, the same guy Jordan Kersey drew a knife on earlier. And Paul grabs a big wrench and slams it on his crotch, and he wakes up to see a car's about to fall on him, and Paul injecting with him something, and aims for the sciatic nerve, and now pours brake fluid on the cut of the sciatic nerve. You can watch it on your own. And Joe finally yells out someone named Knox, who planned the entire robbery at the Kersey home, but he's never met him. And that's it, folks. So next scene, Jackson and Raines are back at the baseball place to see Frank there, and to suspect he could be the Grim Reaper and want to see his hands. And now this guy in the hoodie is trying to do what the Grim Reaper is known for, but fails as Paul is watching from the hospital. Now he gets a call and a threatening text message, so Paul answers. And it's Knox, as he tells Paul to come to the blowout club and tells him to come. He's got 30 minutes to get there. And Frank is ringing the doorbell at the Kersey home and he lets himself in, desperate to find Paul. And he goes into Paul's basement, and it's messy, and especially sees the bullets on the table. And Paul's at the club and texts Knox now to meet up with him at the bathroom. And obviously the guy who was kissing the girl is Knox. He just wanted to make sure Paul Kersey showed up. And he hears a phone ringing from the stall. So Paul shoots the power box in the ceiling to turn off the lighting, and everyone running out of the club. And Jackson and Raines get the club shooting call. Sounds like Knox killed himself. But he's at the hospital and tells Jackson that he's seen the shooter. And just like Charles Bronson from the original, Bruce Willis has a similar wound near his shoulder. It looks very painful. He even staples the wound, jeez. As Jackson and Raines rush to Paul Kersey's office, since it looks like they now know everything. And Paul Kersey has made it home and now has a scene, and yeah, Frank knows everything. And now the detectives are here too. And Frank answers the door that Paul's in here, and the two of them know he is in there. So Paul is getting a call now, and it's from the hospital. And Jordan is awake, and she wants to know where Lucy is. But she's dead, and Frank wakes up knowing that Jordan's fine. So Paul tells Frank that the Grim Reaper side hustle is officially over, and Jordan's ready to go home, and the detectives are back. And as Paul and Jordan go inside the elevator, here comes trouble. And Knox just makes small talk with Jordan, and with a very creepy see you later ending there.
Welcome to Jolly Rogers. How can I help you?
I want to buy a gun.
Don't I know you?
She probably saw him on TV. So next scene, they're all back at home having dinner, and Frank's gotta go now. And Paul's moving the dresser to put Jordan inside under the stairs so she can call the cops since he saw someone run outside earlier. And here comes this guy with a machine gun. He shoots the bed, and here comes the other guy. So he goes in the basement next to check. Surprised he cleaned it. And Paul gets shot in the arm. And Jordan is screaming and comes out Knox. And the police are also here. Paul Kersey acts very well here about all that's happened, so he's faking it. So in the final minute of the movie, as Paul Kersey drops Jordan off to college in New York City, and we end the year with the AC/DC song playing once again, and directed by Eli Roth. And that is Death Wish from 2018, a very good remake. Pretty good, it's actually not that bad. But I suggest you watch the original Death Wish from 1974. You might find it boring, but without that you wouldn't have this remake. I'll see you next time in Big Trouble in Little China. Like, comment, and subscribe. Take care, see you soon, and watch away. Once again, Happy New Year 2026. Take care.